Welcome back. First and foremost, thanks for watching. Today we're going to be updating the RAM on my Synology DS 1515 Plus. That's Synology's NAS, a 5-bay unit, as you can see here, with the 5 drives. I have all 5 drives populated, but it doesn't really matter for this particular upgrade that we're going to do. First, before we get started, I have to say that from what I've read, Synology doesn't support 16 gigs of RAM. It's just the onboard 2 that this has currently. I'm going to go all the way to 16. Please investigate your model. Do this at your own risk. I can't be responsible for any data loss, or if your NAS doesn't boot back up, or something doesn't work right as part of this upgrade. Proceed at your own risk. I'm going to try it. Worst case, I'll put the other memory back. I've seen other people are successful with this 16 gig kit, so we're going to assume everything's okay. But as they say, your mileage may vary. Please use at your own risk. This video is more for informational purposes and decide whether this is something you want to do and take the chance with your Synology. So what you need obviously is your NAS. I currently have the drive bays in. I'm going to see if I need to take any out. I think I at least need to take a couple out on the end. I have a kit here for 16 gig kit. That's 2 8 gig sticks of memory. This came from Amazon. There's a link in the description. You need a screwdriver. I have a cloth just in case I need to wipe anything off as I get in there. As you can see, I'm working on a wooden table. I wouldn't work on anything that conducts electricity. You can also use a static wrist strap to ground yourself. I would also touch something metal before you get started so you don't have any static charge. I'm also on a wood floor here, so I wouldn't do this on carpet where you could generate static. Just, best case electronic or best electronic practices are in play here. I shut the NAS down. I'll show you how to do that here. Basically just go into the web interface and shut it down, disconnect my cables on the back, power, network. I had a couple USBs plugged in, and here we are. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the drives. I'm not sure if I have to, as I said, but you know what, now that I'm looking at this, it may make it a little easier. I want to put them back in the same order that they came out. So what I'm going to do is just basically just push the bottom and it clicks out. Pull it out towards you and gently lay off to the side. I'm going to lay them off in the order that I'm taking them off, and then when I'm done, I'll put them back in that same order. If nothing else, I'll make the NAS lighter for the next step where I have to turn it over. Incidentally, this is a NAS that I did get on a warranty exchange. The first one I bought, which I liked, also same model, wouldn't power up after I moved it, so we'll see how this goes. So now you see I have everything open. We're going to flip it over here and take the back cover off, or excuse me, the screws in the back off, and to take the top cover off. Looks like I have 5 screws here, Phillips. Take those out. Set them off to the side. Actually, looks like somebody may have been in here before. Screw holes have a little bit of a mark in there where some screws have been taken out. But like I said, this was a replacement, so my guess is this is probably a refurb unit that they sent me. If you have problems with your Synology, they were great to deal with. I had to give them a deposit, a credit card deposit to send it, but they advance exchanged me a unit. So that was nice of them. And came and sent the other one back, and away it went. So let's see. So I'm going to tip it forward or tip it back up. Now, since I don't have the screws in, I kept my hand on the cover. I'm going to pull the cover back. Like I said in the beginning, proceed at your own risk. This may void the warranty. I don't know. Probably putting the memory in does. So proceed at your own risk. And we're going to take a look here and see where the memory is. There's a slot right here on the side for the one, as you can see here. And the other one is in here, which, from what I've been told, is a little bit of a pain to get out. So let's see what we got here. All right, so we are going to do our first 8 gig stick. We'll put it on the outside. So this just comes in a blister pack here. Open that up. And once again, beware of static electricity, etc. Pop that out. Set this off to the side. This looks pretty clean inside. I'm not worried. Like I said, You know, if this is a little dirty for you inside because you're in a dusty environment, you get some canned air. I wouldn't go crazy on the canned air, but so on this you can see there is a little nub partway through the connection, and if you look at your RAM, you see there is a little slot where that goes. So it sort of only goes one way. So you can see here it will not line up that way, so it tells me the only other way I can go is like this, with the chips, I guess, facing up, so the label facing down. Now you're just going to simply plug this in. Now I'm not going to, once again, electronics, don't go crazy here. I have it started. I'm going to push it in and then click it down. So I clicked it in the front and then pushed it down, so you can see these ears here. See there? See the ear clicks in the side there? And just clicked, you could hear it, that clicks. You don't have to go crazy here, just make sure that it's in. Now, my assumption is, and I'll look at it in a second, is we have to remove the existing memory, pull this out, and then pull the memory out that's in there, and then reverse the procedure. So let's take a look at that. Alrighty. Yeah. So I've heard this is a little bit of a pain to get to, and now I see why. Alright. So I'm going to get a flashlight so you can see a little better, and I'll be right back. Alright, so I got the flashlight, I got the small one to maybe give you a better look, and I got this big one here. Now, one thing is, you can see here, it says a magnet on the bottom. So working on the car is a really good flashlight if you need it. I'll put a link in the description below. But stay away from your drives. The camera down on the side there, so you can see sort of what we're looking at. That piece of, that memory in there with the red label is what's got to come out. Looks like there's some clips on the side. I got a big heat sink there. So I'm going to do, it's going to be a little hard to see, but put my hand in there and flick these out. Let's see, if I do it on the flat, probably better. Okay, so what I'm noticing is you can actually at least see what I'm doing from the side here. Let me show you that. So you can actually see, now there's this ribbon cable here you want to be careful of, but you can actually see inside. Let's see if I can get this for you. See inside there where the flashlight is, that's the memory. So you can at least see what you're doing. Not sure if I'm going to be able to get my hand in there. Okay, there's this big power connection for the motherboard. Let me see if I can easily wiggle that out. That's going to help me. The clip. You can't see what I'm doing here, sorry, but I'll show you in a second here. Yeah, I'm not sure that's going to come out, so I'll take the screwdriver. Skinny bit. It's not a standard bit. Push the clip in. Let's see what I'm doing here. Yeah, that's not going to want to come out. Okay, yeah. I must have either a clip on the other side or something, so we're not going to break that. So let's not try that. Try a different way here. You can see the one piece, one memory clip on the side. The other one's here. Let's try to get them off to the side here. You can push that out. Push that out. Sort of wiggle the memory out. Okay, so you can see this. Get some light in there. See how it's raised up a little hard to see, but I basically, I'll show you on this one, basically just spread the two sides out and that popped it up. So now we should be able to just push it out with our finger. Get the light in there so you can see. I'm going to catch my nail on that label. No, maybe I can't. All right, let's see what we're stuck on. Oh, I got to tilt it up just a little bit more. So I'm bringing it up like this. get my finger around. I don't really want to use tools here because obviously metal tools, things like that, you could use. Yeah, I'd probably just use my fingers, to be honest with you. Okay, so this is how it came out. So this is what's in there. It's a 2 gig stick of RAM. See where the slot is. The slot favors the left side by my thumb. So we'll put this down just like that. I'll get the other piece of memory. So this is a little different than the other one where, if you think about it, I'll show you this real quick. Here's the new piece, but this is your motherboard, your processor here. So this is the other side. Both sides have the labels facing in. So what I need to do is sort of the same thing. This might be a little tricky, but I'm thinking it might actually be a little easier going in. So what I'm going to do is basically take the memory, stick it through this square hole here, and then from there, let's get a close-up view of what's going on there. See if I can get this light in there for you to see. Sort of see right where you're going. And there. You can see on the right side there's a clip. It's hard to show you here, sorry, but there's a clip side on that side as well. And I can't really, you know what? Let's try doing this. Bear with me for a second. Let's try putting some light in there, maybe. Yeah, you can sort of see what's going on there a little bit. Sorry for the flare, but want to get you bird's eye view sort of what's going on in there. Some light. But incidentally, it's pretty much the whole socket, same as the other side. Going to push it in the front side so it locks in the front edge where the socket is, and then just lay it down and we'll hear it hopefully click again. And then at that point I think we're home free. So once again, this doesn't look too dusty. This doesn't look dusty at all, actually. But if yours is all dusty, now's the time. A little bit of canned air. I'll put a link in the description for that also if you don't have any. I'd go very careful with the canned air, and I wouldn't turn it upside down either. You know, to be honest with you, just blowing out by your mouth, just obviously don't breathe in the dust. And it bears repeating that you're doing this at your own risk. You maybe avoid warranty, I don't know, by it says warranty voided if removed, but I think that's the sticker. I don't know if that means the RAM or not. So once again, proceed cautiously, I guess. So I'm going to do this, and like before, it's going to be very hard. Like getting it out, it's going to be very hard for me to show you this. But we're going to basically stick it in the rectangular hole this way. The first thing we're going to do is make sure that that's the same size. And as you can see, it is. Okay, because that looked a little strange there going in. So we're going to put it in here. Okay, now at least we got it in that hole. We're going to probably have to put the flashlight down for you for a second. I can bring in the flashlight. I know you really can't see, so I think we'll probably turn the camera off here. I think you get the general idea. And I won't sit here and waste your time watching me struggle with this, but it's a little challenging. So I turn the camera back on now that I have everything back in. As you can see, as far as the memory goes, as you can see, the memory's in that slot. I ended up disconnecting the power connector here. You can see this goes up to the power supply, and this ribbon cable here I pulled out of the way slightly. I didn't disconnect it, I just pulled out of the way. And what that does is gives us better access to the memory internally. So you can see, now you can see it right there. There's the ears clipped in. Now, this was a little bit of a pain, I'm going to be honest with you. The other side of this ribbon cable, you can see right there on the other side, of the far side of the memory, it's got the same thing, the ear that clips in. So don't go crazy with this ribbon cable as far as pulling it. I just sort of moved it out of the way. It was already there. I did not disconnect it. I would not recommend disconnecting it. And then I'm going to plug this big connector back in, the power supply connector. Now with this stuff here, remember this is the motherboard right here. You don't want to be putting too much pressure on this. So what I'm going to do, see here that I'm going to line up the holes. Again, it's keyed a certain way. You can only go one way. Clips on it. line up the holes there and see how it sort of starts to go by itself. At that point, it's going to hold, my thumb's holding the motherboard. I'm not going to put too much pressure on the connector coming down into the socket. I also want to make sure this clip has clipped. It has. You can see it there. It's clipped. Now what I did is I took the flat part of a screwdriver and gently, while pushing up on this, gently pried it up to get it open. You may not need to do that on yours. If you're not comfortable with this type of stuff, I would not recommend doing that. It wasn't totally necessary, but it did help. So you can see here that now we're seated. Everything looks fine. Back to where we were. You can see actually where it chewed up a little bit. Ribbon cable sitting nice. I'm going to check this ribbon cable connection, make sure that's in here. Any other connection. It's all tie wrapped pretty tight right here, so that's a little bit of a pain to get out. Now the one thing I want to show you is basically, it's very hard to show you on the inside, but you did see where the memory's in. Just to recap, and we'll going to do this one-handed just so I get close up for you. What I did initially was we popped these ears out. Okay, these ears on this side. See how the memory pops right up? And then I would have taken that out on the inside. That's what I did, and then it put back in. There's the notch. There's a little tab there. It only goes one way because you see that way that things don't line up. Turn this back around. So make sure that's the most important thing. From an angle, gently push it in squarely. Don't push one side then the other once it's seated. And once it's seated, we'll listen for the click. There we go. Everything's clicked here, clicked here. Just give it another little nudge. That's fine. And then we'll check our memory on this side one more time before we close everything up. Make sure that's in there. Once again, I wouldn't put tools in here. I mean, they make special screwdrivers and stuff, but I mean, if you absolutely had to, I just honestly, I don't think I would. It's too much risk. There's too much metal in there. As far too much, the circuit board's right there, and you got the metal of the screwdriver. But we're going to give this a look one more time. How it's going to be. Can't really show you guys. But these seem to be. Actually, you know what? We're not exactly in there. In there enough, but boy, that didn't seem to. I'm going to try clicking this one more time. The reality is it really only goes in a certain way. And I think it's in there. You just pop out. Let's see if I can get it to click in. Okay. Yep. So it is in there. But sure, this looks a little different. I mean, I'm guessing because, as I mentioned before, this is most likely a refurb unit. And maybe these ears are a little bent out of shape. So we're going to push that down, making sure we're clicked in, making sure everything's good. I can't really get my finger in on the, I can a little bit. On the edges, make sure, all I did there was, you know, as best I could, make sure these ears are pushed in. And even these I see they're a little floppy. So I got my Synology tip back up. I want to put my drives back in the order I took them out. So that would be just, so put them back in. So I started with drive 5 and worked my way backwards. I said earlier I wasn't sure if you'd have to take all the drives out. It's probably best to do it. You could probably leave the first couple in, but I wouldn't do it because you're banging the drives around, especially if you have spinning disks. If you have SSDs, I guess it's not as big a deal, but I wouldn't take the chance. Okay, so everything's back in, everything's locked back in, everything's good there. I don't lock my drives, but if you did, you'd have your key, you'd lock them here. So not in a corporate setting or anything like that. And now we're going to put the cover back on. And a little bit of dust here. I've noticed dust actually collects in the stamping where the letters are cut out. Now, one thing to keep in mind, when we took this apart, there wasn't a memory chip here on the outside. So what we have to be careful of is when we put this door back on, we don't catch the memory. Now, there's not really much to catch or anything like that. Interesting that this has a piece of tape on it, this side doesn't, but I'm sure there's a reason. I would also, you know, I give stuff a look when I'm here. You know, this sits on my entertainment center, so it's not bouncing down. If you have this mobile or you're taking it from your office back home or stuff like that, I skip stuff a look. But whatever you're comfortable with, we'll just make sure I don't catch the memory. I'm going to put the top edge. See, this is lipped here. I'm going to put the top edge in first. That should slide. Should slide right down. Fine enough. Bring this up on its face. Be careful, because now, especially I have the drives in there. You could hold off till I see, we got a little connector here on the outside sticking out. You could hold off until, you know, put the drives in, put the cover on first, then put the drives in, but it doesn't matter. Aside from a weight, if you have a weight with the drives, that's a little tricky getting this back in, I see. All right. Be careful you don't pinch your hand just like I did. Let's take this back up again. Sure we're in here, which we are. Good there. Oh, let's see. I have to make sure you're. It's a little bit of. Oh, I got it. Okay. Let's see what happened here. Let me show you what happened. Little lip here. See it? A little lip here has to go on the lip of the chassis, and I was too wide. So once again, being careful of my memory, I'm going to give this a little bit of a squeeze. There we go, much better. So I just squeezed in a little bit on the inside because that lip has to sit on the inside of that channel. Flip it up while keeping my hand on the cover. This is where maybe keeping the drives out would have made this a little lighter. I'm going to get one screw in there. So again, keep in mind this is, you know, electronic piece of equipment. If you've been walking around, if you're on, I wouldn't do this on carpet or anything like that, but if you have, obviously discharge yourself, you know, static wise. Get these started. It's a little tricky to get started, I've noticed, but so this should increase it to 16 gig. We'll fire it up and see what that looks like, and we'll see what the performance is. You know, I took a screen grab of the performance where the RAM CPU obviously isn't changing, but the RAM is changing. We'll see if we go down in the amount of RAM used. I don't do a lot of. You might be asking, hey, why did you do this? More to see what it does. We do a lot of storage of pictures and things like that. Don't really do a lot of video playing or transcoding of video. So, but I suppose if you did, this would help. I guess just like anything on your computer, basically it's a computer without a monitor, sort of. You know, it was one way of thinking about it. More and more I look into these NASs, especially the Synology. I'm sure there are other brands. Just what they can do is sort of ridiculous. Once again, this is a DS 1515 Plus, putting in two 8 gig sticks. Link below for the memory I use. There's some small screws. And some of the other tools you saw me use in this video, or something similar at least. One of these universal screwdrivers is really nice always. I don't know. It's nice to have in your desk drawer, or, you know, if you keep your tools out in the garage or in your basement, but you need a screwdriver upstairs just to do stuff real quick. Keep one in the dresser drawer or something like that. Office drawer. Okay, I got all 5 back on there. These are great to have because they have Phillips and flat blade. And that's actually, some people don't realize, it's actually a nut driver on each side too. All right, so we're going to bring this upstairs and fire it up. See how we do, and hopefully everything comes up and we'll be on our way. Once again, this is how to replace or add to the memory, I guess you could say, on your Synology NAS. I took out a 2 gig stick, which you see here, and I'm going to hang on to this because I never know when you might need it. And then also put in 2 8 gig sticks. The one was very easy, it's on the outside. The other one, not so much, as you saw. Just take your time and you'll get it. If you have any questions, feel free to drop me a note below. So you can see we're all back together here. So we'll take this upstairs, power it up, see how we do, and then we'll keep an eye on this and see how it performs.
And as you can see here, we have the NAS powered back up, our DS1515 Plus, and you can see the 16 gigabytes of RAM, the two 8 gig sticks are being recognized as total physical memory. Going to take a look at the statistics now. And as you can see here, now our RAM usage is at 7%. I haven't really seen it go much above this, although I'm not doing a lot of background tasks or transcode or anything like that. Real happy with that 7%. And that wraps up our Synology DS1515 Plus memory upgrade. Thanks for watching. Any of the items seen in this video can be found in the links in the description below. Be sure to click the subscribe button if you like what you see here. Lots of great content coming up. Click the thumbs up if you like this video. And please click the bell to be notified when new videos come out. And be sure to always check out fixitwithdad.com. Thank you for watching and have a great day.